Welcome to Event Explorer. I'm your host, Daniel Roth, and this is the podcast where we explore the world's most fascinating festivals through the voices of the people that bring them to life. Summer festival season is here. Calendars are filling up, road trips are taking shape, and communities across the country are putting on their biggest and most beloved celebrations. In this episode, we are heading to the coast of Maine, to Boothbay Harbor, where the season starts with sails, music on the docks, and a town-wide celebration called Windjammer Days. It's a week of schooners, vintage boats, codfish relays, lobster eating contests, and fireworks, all organized by volunteers who care deeply about keeping maritime heritage alive. You'll hear from two of them today, Mark Gimbel and Bruce White, who've helped lead and grow the festival for more than a decade. Now be sure to subscribe to Event Explorer wherever you listen. And if you've got a favorite festival you think we should cover, email me at daniel@eventexp.org. I'm always looking for the next great story. All right, let's meet Mark and Bruce and travel to Boothbay Harbor for Windjammer Days. Mark Gimbel and Bruce White are two of the driving forces behind Windjammer Days, a beloved Boothbay Harbor tradition that celebrates the maritime soul of this northern Maine region. Mark helped lead the festival's revival over a decade ago and continues to guide it forward. Bruce chairs the Vintage Boat Parade Committee, which caps off the week with a stunning display of antique vessels and now classic cars at a Friday night pier party. Just a great time to kick off the summer in Boothbay Harbor, Maine, a place that maybe all of our listeners haven't been to. So I'm excited to dig in today and talk to two of the great guys behind this festival. We'll talk about what it takes to build something so enduring, how the community comes together each year to make it happen, and why these events mean so much to locals and visitors alike. Mark, Bruce, welcome. Thank you for being here.
Our pleasure.
Thank you for having us. Great to be here.
Very good. Well, let's start off with awesome. Thanks, Bruce. So let's start off with paint the picture. Tell me, Mark, if you were to describe kind of Boothbay Harbor, what's life like up there? I imagine it kind of comes alive in the summer, but
oh yeah, this entire winters are a little desolate up here. Yeah, we have two seasons. We have summer and winter. We really don't have much of a spring, although we have a great fall. The leaves up here, we have great foliage. October is a big month for tourists and so forth. So I should say we're a 3-month community. In the wintertime, though, between January, February, and March, there's not a whole heck of a lot going on.
And that usually, a community like that usually leads to people looking to let loose a little bit in the summer and really enjoy it.
Yeah.
Bruce, you were telling me that you've had vintage boats for a long time. Is that a big part of the kind of spirit of the community? Is this?
Yeah, boating. Boothbay Harbor has been referred to for many years as the boating capital of New England. And there's a lot of boats that come and go through here. Oh, we must get 20 or 30 antique boats that come in the parade. They've got to be at least 20 years old. Some of them go back to the late 1800s, early 1900s. But boating has always been a mainstay here. A lot of people come. It's great cruising grounds. It's beautiful. There's 5 lighthouses right in the area that you can see really easily. It's well protected. And it's good weather.
It certainly looks beautiful from the pictures I've seen from Windjammer Days. Now, let me get a sense. Mark and Bruce, are you both from the area originally, or is this a newfound home for you?
Bruce?
Go ahead, Mark.
Well, I was a longtime summer kid. I grew up originally in Ohio. My dad had a large insurance company, and he was able to take the summer off, happened to be up here on vacation, found a beautiful home on the water, and we get a chance to be raised as kids in the summertime up here, which is pretty cool. Our dad, I have 2 siblings. Our dad bought us a 13-foot MFG that we could cruise around the shores of and really explore and get to know. And that kind of embedded a sense of love for the community, really, right there in childhood.
My story is not too dissimilar. I'm from away, as we call it here. Those of us that aren't born here are from away. And I came here when I was about 5 days old for the summer, and I've been here every summer since then, and that's a lot of them. And I moved here when I was 16 or 17, went to school and stayed and raised my family here. It's a great place to raise children. This town is extremely community oriented as far as festivals, as far as doing things for graduating seniors, pitching in to help others. It's a really tight-knit community. As far as our festival goes, we probably have, 20, 25 people on the committee. They're all volunteers. We meet 11 months out of the year. There's a lot of time involved. The people really come together. It's a great place to live.
Excellent, excellent. It sounds beautiful, and if people haven't seen it, I will share some of the media that you've created. It's a bay full of islands, and there's island homes throughout the bay. I mean, it's just such a unique and beautiful New England coastline that you have.
Yeah.
Now, so you both have been traveling to Boothbay, and now may have made it your home. I see that you've both been involved with the festival directly for just over about a dozen years.
Yeah.
But I imagine growing up and going into adulthood, Mark, you attended the festival, right? Is this something that's been part of your life for a long time?
Because most states in the country, the school systems get out, mid-June, maybe early June. So the first thing we did was pack the car and trek up to Maine. So basically right before, you had now it's at the end of June. Originally it was mid-July, but that's a whole nother story. But we would get up here, and the first thing we looked forward to was Windjammer Days, because as a little kid, the vivid memories I have was a huge street parade, right? And all these awesome, gorgeous, tall sailing ships coming into town from all over the state and New England. And the waterfront just comes alive, and it's amazing. So you'd have even this bagpipe band would get on one of the party boats, and they'd haul them around town through all the docks, and you'd hear music in the harbor, music on land. No, it was definitely a festive atmosphere. Always has been.
So what did it mean to you to then take the helm a little bit or work? I know it's a large committee, but you've been a driving force behind this 12 years ago to start to get involved. Is a tradition you wanted to keep going? Are there things you wanted to see improved upon or to be a bigger draw?
Well, the original intent was to just keep it going, because 12 years ago, the Chamber of Commerce had decided that essentially they were going to end Windjammer Days because it was too cumbersome for them to do as an organization, and it overwhelmed them as a group. And the board at that time was made up of a series of people that didn't even live in the community. They worked here, but didn't have the same deep-seated love of the festival. So at the annual meeting, we basically just said, hey, folks, stick around because we're planning on taking this over. And that's what happened. It wasn't by choice. It was by necessity originally. Now, I wouldn't choose any other way, personally.
What do you think, Bruce? You got involved at around the same time. What did it mean to you to keep this festival going?
Well, as Mark said, growing up, to see the schooners come in, it really leaves an impression on you, as a young person, to see these beautiful schooners come into the harbor, sail into the harbor, drop their anchor. And I was quite honored, and still am, to be part of this. This is an ongoing tradition that's been going on for 60 odd years now. And to be part of it is a real honor to keep this going. And I commend both the Gimbels for taking this on and rounding us all up and shaming some of us and having some of us beat down their door to get on the committee and help out. It's great. It's great for the merchants. It brings a lot of people into town. It showcases our town. We are a tourist town. We were a fishing community, but fishing is not as robust as it once was, and we rely on the tourist dollar. But it's just a lot of fun. It really is. It's a hoot.
Yeah.
So, Mark, you mentioned that the parade kind of kicking off the festival. Take me through this year's activities of what people can expect to experience if they travel up to...
Well, originally, Windjammer Days was a 2-day festival. Now it's a 7-day festival. And some of the fun stuff that we've added, we have a tug-of-war across the harbor, 1,200 feet, and we put teams on both sides, and they pull for the coveted trophy that is, we basically have enough to put 50 years worth of winners on it. So we hope that's part of the festival for a long time. And, we have to feature the great chefs of the area. We have a crab cake cook-off that's amazing. We have a lobster eating contest and a codfish relay race where the relay consists of 4 people, doesn't matter what age, what gender, and you have to throw some oil skins on, throw a dead codfish under your arm, and you got to run about 50 yards and back, and then get out of your gear, and somebody else gets it on there, and it's timed. So, there's 3, basically, you got the young folks, you got regular adults, and then you have more of a senior winner. And there's bragging rights for 1 year if you do happen to pull that off. And who doesn't like to eat like a lobster eat does?
And this is something that respects. There's a bit of humor in this too, right? From your community, or a bit of don't take ourselves too seriously and have show what the locals know how to have a good time, right? Bruce, about the vintage boats. I mean, this is something that is very unique. I live in Detroit, Michigan. We'll have 2, 3 tall ships or schooners coming in. I mean, you've got such a large count of these historic vessels coming in, and some of them are these all old boats, or do people continue to build these boats?
Well, we got two different things going on. The schooners, a lot of them are old boats. There are a couple new ones that are built exclusively for the passenger carrying trade. A lot of the schooners, the original older schooners, are cargo carrying schooners that have been repurposed, rebuilt to carry passengers. The vintage boat parade, people fall in love with their boats. Don't ask me how I know. My boat was built in 1968. And the boat that I used to run in the boat parade is a year older than I am. And actually, I still have that boat. That's in the barn. My father bought that for his 40th birthday present to himself. So anyway, people love their boats. They like to show them off, polish them up, put the flags on them, run them around the harbor. And then, as you mentioned earlier, we all go back to this pier outdoors. There's a band. It's catered. There's antique cars. There's going to be motorcycles this year, antique motorcycles. And we all just have a good time. But boating is the central theme to that.
And I imagine, that day must be splendid, being out on the harbor, catching the wind in your sails and looking around, and all you're seeing are fellow boat owners and boat lovers. It must be really special. Are there kind of people that you see every year and boats that you look forward to seeing again every year?
Oh, absolutely. Yes. With the schooners, we love to watch them come in. And we've got some that come year after year. Every once in a while we get a new one, and that's kind of fun to have. We've had some drop out, but they come back after a while. For the boat parade, sure. There's boats we have every year. Some people bring 2 boats and they'll run them through the parade. They've got 2 antique boats. They'll have one crew on one crew on another. There's a guy that carries a cannon and he's shooting that off all the time. And we had one of our committee members had his daughter do the Macarena on top of the boat, on top of the wheelhouse, all the way around the harbor throughout the whole parade. That was 2 years ago.
How fun is that? So, I mean, this is a good influx of people that are, it maintains a good, or kicks off a good start to this kind of summer tourist economy. Mark, I know the Chamber of Commerce, it was such a big undertaking, they couldn't keep it going. But it must have, I mean, you guys must be able to justify all the needs that this event puts on the community by its economic impact. What kind of results are you seeing from Windjammer Days?
Just before we go any farther, just wanted to let you know, even though we sort of control Windjammer Days, the Chamber of Commerce is back in the fold, and they're a very important part of Windjammer Days. They are in charge of the annual street parade, which has grown again. It's awesome. They do a great job with that. They participate in several other events. So we're all back. We're all good.
Love to see
warm and fuzzy. Yeah. But you talked about Detroit, Michigan, and there's a guy out of Salem, Massachusetts, who comes up with 1 or 2 schooners every year. And this year, one of his other captains is coming, because the other one, When and If, is actually going to be in the Great Lakes for the Tall Ships Festival that's going to happen up there this summer. And When and If was built here in our community for General Patton back at the end of World War II. And it was called When and If, When the War is Over and If I'm Still Alive. So that'll be up in Michigan here in July.
Excellent. So tell me about the kind of economic impact the event has for your community. What do you see?
I'm a retailer. I own several stores here in this town. And the Tuesday and Wednesday of that particular week, we do twice as much business as we do over July 4th. So it's substantial. All the hotels, all the B&Bs, the Airbnbs, rental properties are all full. The restaurants are cranking. There's a lot of music going on outside on all the decks, because there's a lot of restaurant properties built out over the water. And so it's nice. You get a little echoing going on, because the harbor's large. So I bet circumference-wise, Bruce, it's got to be almost 2 miles. You start out by your place, come into the harbor, and go back out to Spruce Point.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very good. So you're covering all this ground and you have so many different events. What's the team like? I know you said you have almost 30 people working on this.
Well, we run it like an organization. I'm kind of a managing director. So is my wife. We have 5 directors of the festival, but we kind of keep track. We have a committee for each event, like the Vintage Boat Parade and Pier Party. We have the Rock Skip and Be Merry. That's where the tug-of-war and the rock skipping contest and the waders race across one of very unique architectural features. If you Google it, the footbridge at Boothbay Harbor. Back in 1901, a footbridge was built from the west side to the east side of the harbor. So we utilize that and include it in some of the fun events that we do. And so we meet once a month. So we meet the second Wednesday of every month. And this coming Wednesday is that second Wednesday. We meet at a watering hole. We have our own clubhouse room in the back. And that everybody comes together. And if any group is having a little bit of a weakness, either for signage or volunteers for their group, it's up to the rest of us to pull them up and make sure everybody's on solid ground.
Awesome. Well, excellent. And are you able to, I imagine, this was a big part of your childhood and you want it to be, the next generations to take over. So, if I'm a family looking at coming up, what's a good schedule for you to follow? Or, what are the days you recommend, for a visiting family or a couple that would want to make their ways up to Boothbay Harbor, Mark?
Kind of depends on, start with your own schedule. Let's say, you got a weekend. Maybe the first 2 days of Windjammer Days don't work out. You're going to be traveling. Got to say goodbye to grandma and grandpa, whatever. But the Tuesday and Wednesday of that week, and then building right through the following weekend. So Tuesday through Saturday. That's really the meat and potatoes of the whole festival right there.
What strikes me about the festival is it seems like as much as there's a lot going on, it's a relaxed time. This is a time for people to enjoy, to wander, you can go home, hang out, come back for the evening.
Yep.
It's not something that you need to live by a strict schedule. I think that there may be a little bit of the Boothbay Harbor, the Maine kind of attitude in there too, right? If it's summer, we should enjoy it.
Pretty much most of the events are free. So for that reason, you don't need a family pass and check off the things you're going to do to make sure you get your return on investment. Like you said, that's a good description. It's very relaxed. Everybody chills out. You're like, hey, let's go over to the beach over there for a few hours and come back, because we know the kids from the Y Arts, it's a performing theater group, are going to be doing, their own version of Pirates of the Dark Rose, and they have a name for it, which escapes me right now. But people come back because they love watching the kids performing on the stage in the middle of town.
Beautiful. I want to thank you guys for sharing this story today, because it's something, it's a uniquely or a very American tradition for Windjammer Days. It does feel like something that, obviously with schooners and tall ships coming in, that this is something similar to a festival that could have happened 200 or 300 years ago, just with a modern spin on it.
Right.
But it's celebrating heritage. It's celebrating. We all know the work it takes, to get these boats in this condition, to get them out, the knowledge it takes to be a captain of a sail ship within a harbor. And so keeping that tradition alive and making it the focus of your summer kickoff, I think is really special. So I think people will get the sense. We got a good overview from you today, and I think you guys have picked up a little bit of a Maine accent. So I think that helps us take us take us up to Boothbay. So I just want to thank you guys for joining today. We will, I'll share all the links and some of the photos.
Great.
It just, the reverence which you have for the event, I think other people should pick up on and make their way to Boothbay. There's so much beautiful coastline along the Maine coast. And this is just such a great way to kind of cap that off or create a centerpiece around it to explore a part of the world that isn't the first destination for everyone. But once you go there, obviously you both show, you make a tradition of it every year, and it's things like your event that keep that going. So thank you, Mark. Thank you, Bruce.
All good.
Thanks for joining me in Boothbay Harbor. Windjammer Days brings people together around shared history, hard work, and a whole lot of fun. It's a perfect way to start summer on the water. Thanks to our guests, Mark and Bruce, for sharing their story and for all the hard work they do for their community. If you enjoyed this episode, hit subscribe, leave a review, or share it with someone who loves exploring new places and hearing the stories behind great events. If you know a festival we should feature, send your suggestions to daniel@eventexp.org. You can find more photos and stories from the road at eventexp.org or follow along on Instagram or LinkedIn to get part of the conversation. Until next time, thanks for listening and happy exploring.